Hi, I'm Angie Bryant from Tales of a New Witch, and I'm making a video about my Book of Shadows here for the Witch's Haven. Now, the Book of Shadows, I have not gotten very far on this subject, and the actual doing of it. I definitely believe in creating a Book of Shadows. I really want to have all this as a written record. You know, I look at the Book of Shadows as a place where not only I can put down the things that I want to remember, but also some of my experiences, some of my spells, of course, things that you make up and try out, and if it works and if it doesn't work. You know, your Book of Shadows is that place where you put everything that has to do with your craft. And this includes simple things like moon charts and, you know, what the different crystals mean, and then maybe what they mean to you, and different gods and goddesses and what they help with, and, you know, tarot cards and what they stand for. You know, those kind of things definitely can go in your Book of Shadows. But also, what I see the Book of Shadows and what I am working toward doing it with mine is also to not only just to chart information, but to put down my experiences. You know, if I have an experience with spirits, I want to record that down in my Book of Shadows, how I felt and what I saw or smelled, or what it meant to me as well. You know, that to me is also important information to have for your craft, you know. And the Book of Shadows is for yourself because it's a way to record things that you can later go back 5, 10, 20 years from now and see you know, how something worked or didn't work, or what you use that for, and maybe how it's changed, you know, those kind of things. It's a record for you, because there's so much information, you know, in your craft, and the longer you're practicing your craft, you're going to have even more and more information. I mean, you know, for someone starting out, it's overwhelming where to start, but by writing it down, then you don't have to worry about forgetting it, or where did I read this, or where did I see that. You know, it's all right there, and it's handy for you to find and use yourself, and also as to have for a record for your descendants to pass down. Because ideally, you know, that's part of how you live on in others, and how your craft lives on and grows. Is maybe one day a great grandchild of yours wants to be a witch as well, and so they can take your writings, your Book of Shadows, and that gives them a foundation of a place to start their own craft, you know. Plus also just to get to know you better. To me, like I said, by writing down my experiences or how I feel about something also tells the person who will read this later more about me as a person, about my personality, about how I thought or felt, or what was important to me. So I really only have 2, I guess, Book of Shadows, I will say. And I'll get into that as I explain. But the first book that I bought to be my Book of Shadows was this one. You can see that. It's got a pentacle on the front and this really pretty lock. So I bought this to get started writing everything down, and I really like this book, and I will fill it up. It's, you know, nice leather book, but I haven't got very far yet, and I'm going to say that often. But it's nice, like old parchment paper. It just feels old and like maybe magical. It just feels important and interesting. It's not like a regular journal, I guess. And it was not expensive. Got it on Amazon. Very cheap. But it's just neat. Anyway, so yeah, I started writing in this. I'm only a few pages in, but yeah, I like the idea of decorating the pages. You know, I'm almost like a scrapbook, really, is to me how it's going to end up, being for me. I'm even putting in, I printed out a lot of photos and quotes and things that I like. And so that's also going to go as, like I said, it's kind of like a scrapbook. You put these things in and then write things around them. So that is the plan. And that's about as far as I've gotten in this book. When I stumbled and stopped writing, I wanted to not stop recording, this book to me is to be like a permanent one. Like, sometimes when you're jotting down your thoughts, it's scribbly and messy and you cross things out and rewrite things. And so when I'm putting it in this book, this is going to be like the final copy. At least that's how I'm planning this out. So when I wasn't ready to put more final copy in there, in the meantime, I have, count them, 3 notebooks. Now these are not full, but 3 separate notebooks where I am writing my things down. The reason I have 3 separate notebooks is because I often misplace one when I want to write something down. So I grab another one. This one is mostly for dreams and meditation. She would say visions. Those kind of things is how this one has come out to be, which I will later then transfer into a more permanent book. I keep a pen with it and I keep it by my bed so that I can write down all those kinds of things. This one's a very pretty notebook, actually, too. A friend of mine made it for me years ago. I don't always have my Book of Shadows handy. That one I keep, the small one, the one I was talking about. This one I keep in a drawer away from everyone else. So I have the notebooks to write down things as they come to me. This one, again, is another one where some things, notes that I've been putting in here. Several pages in here of things that I've written down as it occurred to me or as I was studying it and I wanted something, to remember, put it down. And then my third notebook, I have folded up pages in here that I haven't applied to things. But this is some of my sigil work. That's also something in there. This was a bit of a spell that I had written down. One of the first ones that I did, write it all down because I didn't want to forget what to say. And then it got scribbled on by my child because he found it. So here's some of the things, like I said, that I printed out. Some pages that I can then use to scrapbook into my Book of Shadows. All sorts of cute little things that I just actually saved online and printed them out. So these are all things that are going to go into my Book of Shadows when I finally sit down and put it all in there. And I mean, some days I feel bad for having all these notes written down, scattered in 3 different notebooks. But it's not a race. I mean, you don't start off on your witchcraft journey and then need to have a completed Book of Shadows. That's just silly. That's it's not that's not the importance of having a Book of Shadows, having it all done the first year that you are a witch. For me, doing these notes are just my way of getting it down now as I come to it, and then later on I can make it look all pretty and put it in my Book of Shadows. But I started worrying about having all these notebooks and these folded sheets of paper getting lost. So in the meantime, I've actually gone and bought a binder, and I bought page protectors and what are those called? Dividers. And so all my loose notes and pages that I've used are now going in here. As you can see, so that way these pages are protected. My notes are, all down here and they are not going anywhere. until they're ready for me to place them in my Book of Shadows in an order that I choose. And I think for my little Book of Shadows, my plan is to do it in an orderly fashion as I learn things, writing it down that way. Maybe having a section where I write down like the correspondences, and then having a section where, you write down like the moon phases and tools, ritual tools, and that sort of thing. But for the most part, it's going to be as my experiences happen. So that's how I'm going about it with the Book of Shadows, and I will get there. And I know that I need to spend a little more time on it. It is always in the back of my mind. I would say I feel like I'm failing at it a little bit. Like I said, even though it's not realistic to have it all done, I feel like I should be a little more organized with it at this point, but I'm trying. The binder with the page protectors is a good start, because at least then all of my scribbled down notes are going to be in a safer spot than just tucked away in my little composition book. So this Book of Shadows is extremely important, and I want to. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it will never be perfect with me. I am the queen of scribbling things out and writing it over, and that's okay. That's okay. It's personal. It's going to look like my way of doing it. But I don't want it to just be rushed through. I do still want to have some sort of rhyme or reason to how I'm putting it together. So with that in mind, I'm going to keep taking my time with it. And I mean, it's a lifelong process doing a Book of Shadows, because as my craft progresses 10 years from now, that's 10 years of information that I'm going to need to record. And it's going to continue like that as long as I'm practicing witchcraft. All of that information is going to continue to evolve and change and come about. So honestly, I don't see how anybody's Book of Shadows is going to ever be finished until you get to the point where you can no longer record your thoughts, your experiences, and you pass on to something else. That's when it's finished to me. So baby steps. I am getting started, but yeah, it's important. It's going to be a lifelong pursuit. Witchcraft is a lifelong journey of discovery for myself, and so writing it all down is going to take time. So that was my Book of Shadows that I have going. So now you know a little bit more about me and my craft, and please like and subscribe to the Witches Haven. It is a great collaboration of all types of witches coming together to give their personal experiences and ideas on many, many different topics. And we are just getting started. So come back for more. And until next time, goodbye for now.